All right, welcome everyone to episode 6 of the Kota Capper College Central Show presented by the Kota Sports Gambling Network. My name is Kyle Comas, and joining me we have the co-host of the Gabacho Baracho Soccer Podcast and an avid Husker fan. We got Mr. Corey there. 2 in a row, Corey. That's good things going for the Huskers. We got the Michigan man himself, the Kalamazoo living man, that is Mr. Beast Picks. And we got the host of the Play Me or Fade Me podcast. We got Mr. Action Junkie, who doesn't have as good of vibes going into this week as Corey might, but that's neither here nor there. But boys, I know some vibes are high for some people, they're low for some people, but overall, how we all doing?
I think we're doing good. I don't know if I'm doing as good as Corey is with Nebraska. They're actually playing good ball. We talked a lot of smack about them, but they're playing good ball.
I wouldn't say beating Louisiana Tech by 14 is that. I blame the rain delay though. I think that touchdown that they scored was kind of there, but the defense that's all I'm focused on. That defense. I think that defense is legitimate. I think it's a legitimate good Big Ten defense. I'm excited for this weekend.
Surely nothing could go wrong this weekend.
Nothing. Corum is not.
Surely nothing.
It's not like the college football gods have been listening to me talk about Blake Corum all off season, and we have rush defense that's given up 46 yards a game just to watch him go for 250. Not a possibility.
No.
I could also see a situation where maybe Blake Corum doesn't have a good game, but JJ McCarthy has like an absolutely like Heisman-like game too. Like, the possibilities are endless.
Dude, if they cover that spread, it's JJ's legs. 100%. JJ is breaking that defense apart, finding the seam, and just taking off and killing them. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I didn't even necessarily realize it because of how bad the matchup is for one of the teams in it. But Michigan State, Iowa is this weekend. Big Saturday game. Unfortunately, Michigan State is not quite the same opponent that we've had with some past Michigan State-Iowa matchups where it should be a close game. But I don't think that's happening this year. Just doesn't feel like it.
I guess can Michigan State, you think, defend the dive and power play? Because if they can, they have a real good shot.
Yeah, that's that. Well, the big thing with Michigan State is their pass defense is bad, but I mean, I don't know. I was at the game last weekend and nothing was going right. That was bad. So my vibes are pretty low on Michigan State. So if they did play well this weekend, whether they won or not, like it'd be a plus, but that's going to be a tough game. A night game is never fun. And I know Iowa's fans are going to be going nuts for that one,
Only 12 yards separating you from a bunch of drunk people, that's for sure.
Yep. That's true.
No, I think that's a low-key quality sickos game of the week right there. I even in, maybe a little bit sneak preview, but sitting at an over under 36.5, that's fun for the gluttons of punishment in college football.
Agreed. Action, you're being kind of quiet today. That's pretty unlike you. What's going on?
Well, Corey kind of rained on my parade before the telecast here that he's going to mention my Gophers, so I'll just get out of the way. I basically stayed in bed for 3 days. When the Gophers lose to Northwestern, that's just depressing, blowing a 21-point lead. I did bet on Iowa, and I got 4 first downs. So glad I bet the Iowa team total over 12.5. I felt like an idiot with that. And then I backed a team in Notre Dame that can't count to 11. So you add those 3 things together, that night session for me on Saturday night, I'd like to forget. The rest of the day was good, but that night session was terrible for me. And I just don't know what happened. I'm still shaking my head.
I had a perfectly good Big Ten under going there for a long time in that game. So I'm not very happy with that Gophers defense. I've been talking them up all season just to go ahead and do that to me. I was pretty frustrated the next day.
Well, yeah, if you go to Gopher Hole, you get to see some great photos of 5 different pass plays in the fourth quarter and overtime. We didn't have a guy within 15 yards of the receiver. I don't know what happened to Rossi's defense. We absolutely got confused.
especially on that because I was watching that game. I was watching the overtime, but that play that Northwestern had to win it with that receiver, like there wasn't anybody 20 yards from him.
Well, you didn't watch the fourth quarter then. That was probably one of our best defended plays in the last 20 minutes of football. I was actually proud of how we defended that play. I mean, we were in the screenshot. I mean, we had other guys. We didn't even have a defender on the TV screen.
Dang.
You were busy watching Notre Dame and Ohio State. I had to live through Minnesota.
I was busy sweating out if Iowa's offense would hit an over and screw me over too.
No.
They had one shot to score. That was the first drive of the game. Once they didn't score there, it was over.
And I'm just going to throw the elephant in the room out there too. So because I know you can't make fun of Iowa fans at this point because we know. we just know. I mean, 72 yards of offense. We had 4 first downs, 300 yards punting. I mean,
you guys recruit damn good punters, though.
Oh, we do every year.
I give you credit for that.
Every year. But like at this point, like the media roasts us, like Nebraska, Iowa State, any fans against Iowa roast us. We know. You can't beat a dead horse already because we're so 6 feet under, our skin is gone.
Why didn't you stop me from betting it last week?
I will say this. I will say that, rivalry aside and everything, I made a point on this show after week 1 where I thought Brian royally screwed up against Utah State, not getting that running game going with the running backs, not getting that offensive line in like a cohesive unit with the zone blocking scheme. And that Penn State game showed exactly why I said those things. Because if you can't run the ball as an Iowa offense, you are dead in the water. You're not going to be able to do anything at all. Like literally nothing. And that's what we saw against Penn State.
Yep. So we're all kind of down in the dumps except for Corey, which you should take advantage of, Corey, because this might be.
I'll say this, Heinrich Harburg's legs might be the best thing on offense between both of our schools.
Facts.
I was going to say, how long was that run that he had?
So he had a 72-yarder, he had a 75-yarder called back, and another 45-yarder, all on speed options.
Yeah, the one felt like it was 70. Yeah, that's crazy.
72. And then he had another 75-yarder called back for holding by the receiver downfield. He just, when he hits that alley, he breaks angles. It's insane. That's what I went down to the spring game 2 years ago and took Cale just to watch him. Just because I remember when he came out of Kearney Catholic, I saw him running. I just saw the athleticism. I was like, I want to go see this kid. So I've been counting down this day. You can ask Thomas. I've been saying it for 2 years. I want to see this kid.
Yeah.
Well, now you get to enjoy it.
He's been there,
And he doesn't turn the ball over.
Yeah, something. Nebraska quarterback hasn't something new for Nebraska quarterback.
Yeah, since Taylor Martinez took us to a Big Ten title game, I'd say pretty much.
Taylor Martinez didn't throw is the difference.
No.
All right. Well,
he was so good when he was at his peak. He was so fun. But
dude, that Michigan State game, man. Oh
yeah. He was lethal when he was on his game, but just he wasn't always on his game.
Dude, and did anybody else see the Taylor Martinez, Adrian Martinez picture together? You guys probably didn't see it. It was a Nebraska thing, but yeah, they got them in the same picture together. It felt like a Back to the Future when you're not supposed to see your old self. Like, I don't think that they were supposed to be allowed to be in a picture together. I don't know. Something bad is gonna happen now. But they did get a picture of them two in the same shot, like smiling with each other. It was kind of cool.
There you go.
Yeah, pretty neat. All right, gentlemen, let's get the show on the road now that we have all aired our grievances of our teams. Let's go to the trivia question of the week. I want to add a disclaimer that I wrote this trivia question thinking Thomas was going to be here. So merely for the fact that this, no offense,
UMass,
two people on the question. No offense.
I can't answer.
No offense to two people on the panel, but this question is more of an older question. So So you'll just hear me out in a second here, but I got a little inspiration from it because I've learned that college football is starting to turn into a pretty pass heavy league where like when all of us were growing up, it used to be pretty run heavy. So I did some research, and the crazy thing is only one player in the top 10 for career passing touchdowns didn't play past the year 2000, meaning he played in the 90s or the 80s. In fact, I'll give you the hint. He played in the 80s or 90s. So that's the trivia question for this week. One player is in the top 10 for career passing touchdowns that did not play in the 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. He played in either the 80s or the 90s. So that's going to be your trivia question. I'll let you think about it really quick while I do our ad read. The Kota Capper College Central Show is sponsored by Better Edge. Better Edge is a social betting marketplace that is legal in 45 different states, and it's different from a sportsbook because it acts like a marketplace. How does that work? I'll give you an example. Let's use the LSU Ole Miss game being played this weekend. One person on the platform likes LSU money line, puts $10 on that line. Another person on the platform likes Ole Miss money line, also puts $10 on that line. Boom, we now got an exchange because it's person to person and not person to sportsbook, which is what makes it legal, in 45 states. You know, most sports books, you'll look at spreads and over-unders, and sometimes they're juiced to minus 125, minus 130. Better Edge in spreads and over-unders, always minus 100, plus 100. You get such a higher payback for the users. And we've said it a million times, this network, what makes it cool, what makes Better Edge cool is, Corey, what are you doing?
Nothing. I'm listening.
Okay. What makes Better Edge cool is if you don't like a line, you can create a line in hopes that someone creates an order with you and goes on the other side. They also have several competitions such as Battle Royale, Survivor, Chaser, makes things competitive, and it also incorporates social media. So people can go and post their picks on their timeline. Followers can see it. They can ride with them. They can fade them to create an order, anything they want. But go to their website, www.betteredge.com. Use promo code Kyle, Corey, Beast, Play Me, Thomas, any of those codes, you get $20 added to your account. I mean, that is free money. www.betteredge.com and use promo code Kyle, Corey, Play Me, or Thomas. So, gentlemen, again, trivia question I asked you. So, again, the college football is starting to become more pass heavy. So much to the fact that only one person in the top 10 for career passing touchdowns did not play past the year 2000, meaning he played in either the 80s or the 90s. That is the pick. Beast, this is you and I are kind of the young guns of the group, so I'll let you go first. Who do you think it might be?
I think I actually have a good guess here. I don't know, like, career-wise, but I know he won a Heisman. I'm going to go Doug Flutie. I don't know the year he won the Heisman, but it was in the 80s. So I'm going to go Doug Flutie here.
Okay. Sounds good. Actually,
You know the Hail Mary pass. You've seen the highlights at least, right?
Hey,
Against Miami, I think that was 84, 85. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Action, who do you think it might be?
I missed the multiple choice weeks, by the way. That's the only one I've got right so far is when you give me a multiple choice. So I'm asking for a hint. I think the guy's an announcer on ESPN. I don't know if his career, I know he had one really good year for sure. I'm going to go Andre Ware because Houston just lit up the scoreboard, scoring like 50 points a game. So I'm going to go Andre Ware. It might have been him in a single season. I don't remember the whole body of work for him, but that'll be my guess.
Okay. Sounds good. Corey thinks he knows it. We'll see if he's right, but who do you think it might be, Corey?
Well, it's either this one or somebody that played for BYU, but I'm going to go Chuck Long.
Okay. Sounds good. So this particular player had 127 passing yards. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. And Corey, I can't believe you passed on him. I'm pretty sure. Are you thinking Ty Detmer? Because that's exactly.
Yeah, I knew it was a BYU guy.
Who it was.
Yep. I knew because BYU went through that stretch of three quarterbacks with Steve Young, Ty Detmer, and McMahon in the 80s. And so I knew one of them completely lit it up. It was like the birth of the air raid. But I also knew Chuck Long had two really good years. So, and I knew Chuck Long finished second in the Heisman. So I thought maybe that was why you said Thomas.
Well, I said Thomas just for the age thing is what I was getting at. But no, Ty Detmer is the correct answer. So
I definitely remember Ty Detmer.
I'll take a quarter point for that, knowing it could have been a BYU guy.
It was a tough one though. Like most of the people at the network are kind of around my age. So the only one that actually got it right was B-Russ, but B-Russ is also a big BYU guy. So that's why he probably knew that one.
Was Andre Ware even on the list, top 50 or no?
I didn't look past top 10, but he definitely, I'm sure he's got to be top 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ty Detmer. Not a lot of people talk about him, but man, he lit it up in the 80s and 90s.
The other guy that it could have been a sneaky one. Once again, I don't. This is where my mind goes bad. I can't remember single season, first career, but Chad Pennington at Marshall. I mean, he had to be fair. I mean, that should have been the 90s still.
That was 99, 2000, 2001, though.
Okay, so he did carry into the 2000s. Yeah, I thought he was done with Moss, but that's where I was wrong.
All right. Sounds good, gentlemen. Well, let's before we get into our snake draft, let's really quick talk about week 4. We talked about quite a few games already, but just any highlights that maybe we didn't touch on. Corey, we'll go to you to start. Any particular thing week 4?
I was wrong. Pennington did get drafted in 2000, so his career did fall in the 90s there. You were right, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah. Trying to cool this war a little bit. No, it was, I mean, how underwhelming the Ohio State Notre Dame game was. I thought that would be more exciting in general. The dud by Iowa, I thought that defense would play a lot better, but it's hard to do anything when you can't do anything on offense and you're just giving the ball right back. Other than that, gotta love it when Oregon goes to make an example out of Colorado. That was probably my highlight. I absolutely love seeing that.
Yeah, that was an ass kicking, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I got to give props to Kyle. Congrats. You finally got a missed field goal to go your way for Florida State. So congrats on that OT win over Clemson.
Yep. That was that was huge. I definitely needed that.
You're probably too young to remember all the wide rights with Bobby Bowden against the Hurricanes, but
that was early 2000s, wasn't it?
I think most of his were in the 90s. Yeah.
Early 90s.
I was born in 96, so
okay, and I was born in 76 here on the shirt. So there you go.
Okay.
And all those wide rights were that war between Miami and Florida State from the late 80s to the early 90s when Florida State finally won it in 93.
Okay. The more you learn on this show. Action, we'll go to you. Week 4, anything that we haven't talked about stand out to you?
No, we covered everything I want to talk about. I want to stay out of the Big Ten.
Okay, very good. Beast, what about you? Anything else about week 4?
Well, I'm curious people's thoughts on Bama and Ole Miss. That was I guess it was kind of underwhelming when you really think about that game. I was hoping for like a shootout, like a real heavy scoring game, but Bama just kind of did what, Bama does in that sense. I don't know. I like my guy Lane Kiffin, so I wanted to believe he could do it, but it wasn't really the best game on the slate, and I think I had hopes that it would be like one of the better games, and just it was a little underwhelming.
A lot of low scoring games this weekend. I noticed that. Yeah, definitely.
Corey's happy with the bank account.
Yeah.
There you go. It was a big under week, I guess.
Yeah, UCLA, Utah, they lit up the scoreboard.
Yeah, 14-7, and that actually was the game I was going to talk about. Utah's impressive. Like they're 4-0. They're outscoring their opponents 89-38, all without Rising. Rising is practicing now, so he's eventually going to come back. He might play this week and he might not. Again, Kyle Whittingham tells nothing to the media, so nobody knows if he's going to play or not. But yeah, and they have a defensive end. His name is Jonah Ellis. He's not getting much attention in the media. He has 5.5 sacks through 4 games already this year. That's leading the country. I mean, that Utah defense is unbelievable so far. And again, they're doing all this on offense without their best player. So I think that's dang impressive. And when he comes back, I mean, they got a tough game this this weekend and at Corvallis. They still have to play USC. They have to play Oregon. They have to play Washington. If Rising comes back and they're playing this good, they could be the front runner in the Pac-12, and we may not know it.
No, I mean, you're spot on. I think what's tricky about the Pac-12 is that we say so many teams are good, and I think the classic take that everybody's had, but it's not a bad take, is that they're probably going to beat up on each other. So we may not really know who that really top dog in the Pac-12 is till we see that championship game. Just because right now, I mean, I could see 3-4 teams, winning it. It just depends who gets hot, But you're right. If they get Cam Rising back and he is what he was before, they're going to be dangerous. I agree.
Well, I mean, at what point do we just start giving Utah the credit? Every single season, they're not picked to win. I mean, how many years in a row now have they made the Pac-12 championship game? How many years in a row have they been the best defense in the Pac-12? How many years in a row now has that defense carried them? How many years in a row have they had the best rushing attack in the Pac-12? And how many years in a row has that carried them? I mean, Kyle Whittingham has a system now. He's been recruiting the players to fit that system, and they've been developing those players. I mean, at this point, it's in all reality. I know you have Lincoln Riley with all the bells and whistles over at USC and Caleb Williams, Heisman Trophy winner. But for me, that is Utah's conference to lose. Like, it's been that way for a handful of years now. And nobody wants to give them the credit. Nobody wants to talk about it. And I mean, going into this year, going into last year, going into the year before, nobody was predicting them to win it. And they just keep sticking around. So, I mean, it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
They'll get credit next year in the Big 12. They'll be the preseason favorite.
I don't see why they wouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
God, how great is it to get the Holy War back as a conference game? Oh, man. Oh, man.
It's going to be fun. It is going to be fun. But yeah, I mean, Corey, you said it well. Not trying to toot my own team's horn, but I know the media talks about it. Like Iowa, they take 4 or 5-star recruits and they make them like pro players. Utah does the exact same thing. Rising was a 3rd-string QB at Texas, and he's one of the better QBs in the Pac-12. I mean, Whittingham does a lot of the stuff that Ferentz and his team does, and Whittingham gets absolutely no credit for it.
Yep. I mean, we talked about it last year, the same thing. I mean, I remember saying this last year on this show, and what do? They made the Pac-12 title game. It's insane how much they don't get the credit they deserve on a yearly basis.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. All right, no, that was good conversation, gentlemen. Let's go to our main segment, our Week 5 snake draft, the thing that everyone looks forward to. So we got 4 guys in the panel. We're going to have a 5-round snake draft. So we're giving you 20 picks here. That's the great thing about this. Each person on the panel must have a full game spread, a full game over under, and a money line. All of those via our friends at Better Edge. Shout out to them once again. Again, -100, +100 on those spreads and over unders have helped a lot of us on the panel. So shout out to them. And then you also must have a team total and a first half play. Again, first half can be spread, money line, or total for your first half. Looking really quick back at week 4, I did win week 4 with a 4-1 plus 3.39 unit week. That was my first snake draft win of the year. Corey finished in second with a 2-3 plus 1.39 unit day. Action actually finished second. I lied, with a 3-2 plus 2.56 unit day. PG finished fourth with a 2-3 minus 7.79 unit day, and Thomas finished 2-3 minus 8.95 unit day. Overall, as a podcast, we went 13-12 minus 9 units, and we had not a great week as a pod. We're still up on units for the year. We're at, year to date for our full timers. We are 47, 37-1, a 56% hit rate, and plus 3.86 units on the year. So don't let that week discourage you guys. We still know ball here at the Kota Capital College Football Central show, but we're gonna move on to week 5 now. Did the order before the show started. Beast is gonna have the number 1 overall pick. Corey's gonna go second. Action's gonna go third. I'm going to go fourth with the back-to-back. I did a little teaser before the show started. I think there should be, for once, I think there's a pick that should go 1-1. I'm curious if it does here, but Beast, you do have the number 1 pick. Board is wide open for you. Where are you going to go?
All right. Board is wide open, and this is where it's tricky because I don't know how to read these other 3 guys. I haven't looked at their plays, so I got to just take who I think is number one pick this week. I'm going Oregon State -3 at home versus Utah. We just talked up Utah so much. So there is the potential that there's some guys on this panel against me, but flat out, I just got to say, guys, I'm a huge fan of the Beavers. Who's not a fan of Beaver, dude? I just can't knock them for a close loss last week to Wazoo on the road. I mean, and that's a good Washington State team. I really can't knock them for that. Damian Martinez, solid at running back. I talked so much crap about DJ Ukulele. That's our guy from last year that we all really kind of piled on, but he's played some pretty good ball. I have to give him credit, and he's definitely evolved in his career. I think this is a game where everything in the world, just like we did, we just did it a minute ago, where it's like Utah seems like the better team. Everything's going to tell you, but that's just doing a little bit of disrespect to Oregon State, and they're getting them at home. So I'm going to take that -3. I think it's a major trap on Utah, so that's where I'm going to go.
Okay, I saw a challenge flag just get thrown in the middle of it. It's by Mr. Action Junkie. Thoughts, sir?
I guess I'll use up my challenge for the show, but you could be absolutely right, Beast, but you can get both 3 and 3.5 out there. I think Utah is the best team in the Pac-12. So if you give me more than a field goal, I just have to take it. So we'll see how it plays out. It would not be a strong play for me because I respect your side, but boy, I could never make that play a 5-star. So you got Fanabla, buddy. You got Fanabla.
There you go. Hey, you know what? You gotta put out the big dogs sometimes. And it was hard to read the panel. Like I said, I was like, maybe somebody else is on this. I didn't want to lose that play.
Okay. Sounds good. Good 1-1 overall there, Beast. Corey, we will go to you with the second overall pick.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Michigan team total under 28.5.
That was action wanted.
46 yards per game. 46 rushing yards surrendered per game by the Black Shirts. That's good for 1.8 yards per carry surrendered. That's good for number 1 rush defense in the country. Blake Corum still, I think he barely broke 100 yards against Rutgers. Nebraska's front 7. I mean, I'm going to go out on, it's a take. It's right up there with the best ones in the Big Ten right now, statistically. And as an Iowa fan, I don't want to hear nothing from you because we know that the talent for Iowa's front 7 isn't necessarily at the same level as Ohio State or Michigan, but the way that they play, they do it statistically. They play as a team. Right now, this front 7 is playing some of the best run defense in the country. And I mean, if they're going to score more than 28, it's going to be JJ's legs. That's going to break that defense down, and it's going to be his arm going over the top. And I don't necessarily think that's going to happen either. So I don't think they're scoring more than 28 points.
What was that the total at under
28
what? 28
and a half.
Okay, and what was the line on that?
-110.
Yeah. Actually, it looks like you got that pick taken for you. Is that something you kind of wanted?
Yeah, I'd never win the wheel. I mean, I never win the wheel. I wanted to get in front of Corey. I had Michigan team total under 28.5 on my board. I listened to another show, and they have a model that said this game between Michigan and Nebraska projects to have the fewest number of plays of any game this season. And I mean, at least to this point, maybe that's not projecting out the rest of the year, but I mean, what are they averaging? Like Michigan's averaging like 52 offensive snaps or 56 offensive snaps per game. It's a snail's pace. Yeah.
We're at like 45, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, combine once again that this thing could, we could be watching reruns of I Love Lucy. They'll have so much airtime to fill after that football game. So, yeah, obviously I wanted that pick. And that just threw off my entire day.
We traded picks last week, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that's the other thing, too, kind of what he led into, that these teams do not want to throw it, especially early. Nebraska's a slow starting team. And these teams don't want to throw it, especially in the first half. They want to try to set up that fourth quarter.
Yeah. So I have no option here. I have to burn my money line play right away because I'm already scrambling because my entire draft has been messed up. So I'm going to take a chalky one. I'm going to minus 250. I'm going to take Clemson at Syracuse. I know Syracuse has lost 2 heartbreakers in back-to-back years, but Clemson's not starting 0-3 in the ACC. Syracuse is not catching them at the right time. Heck, Syracuse, I looked at this. Clemson actually still has Notre Dame, North Carolina, Miami, all ranked teams on their schedule. They lose this game, they could lose 6 games this year. That'd be crazy. There's too much talent on Clemson. I'll go on the money line minus the 250.
Okay. Nope. I completely agree with that. I'd be surprised if a Dabo Swinney team started conference play 0-3. I'd be really surprised by that. So
then I'll really start thinking that Beast took, he went to the club. So
might have
messed up our quarterback.
Dude, it's been a mess in Clemson, but you know what? Gotta see what happens this week. I like that.
All right. Very good action. Oh man. So I got back-to-back. This is my first time having back-to-back, so this is tough for me.
Did your number one play get taken or no?
Yeah.
So this is the funny thing. It didn't get taken, but I'm not sure if I want to take it yet. That's
I think you should. I think you should take it. I'm pretty sure it's written down on my piece of paper. I think
just
you should.
depends if you want to make it a 5 or a 4. That's the other question too.
Yeah. Okay. No, you're right, Beast. I do have the back-to-back, so I'm going to go with one that I'm a little more. I had this one for sure 1-1, but I liked another play a little bit more, so I'm going to save my for sure 1-1 for my 4-unit play. I'm going to go Oregon team total over 44.5 at a minus 110 for my 5-unit play. They're playing Stanford, and not many offenses this year have been as good as the Oregon Ducks. In fact, there's only 3 teams, USC, Washington, Oklahoma, that average more points per game than Oregon. Bo Nix, this Oregon offense, they're hitting on all cylinders right now, and Stanford's defense is giving up 33.7 points per game. This team absolutely stinks, and you've seen what Oregon does to stinky teams. They light them up here. I think 45, even a 50 burger is very, very possible here. I like that a lot. I'm taking their team total over 44.5. So
I like it. I think,
and that was your number one. That was the one you've been hyping up, right?
No, this next one's gonna be the one.
Okay.
Because I'm saving it for a 4-unit play, because if I'm wrong, I'd rather use 4 units than 5 units. But I think the absolute play for this weekend is USC Colorado over 73. These defenses are terrible. These offenses are pretty decent. I know Colorado didn't show it last week with Oregon. Oregon had a solid defense, but you've seen what Colorado does to You've seen what Colorado did to a pretty bad defense in TCU. I think they have all the potential here to score a lot of points. I think USC is going to put up 40, 50 themselves. So I'm going to go with it. USC Colorado over 73 is going to be my 4-unit play. And that was the play I thought for sure was going to go 1-1.
Challenge.
no matter what. Oh, he's challenging it. He's challenging.
Oh, yeah, I'm challenging that. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff. USC is going to be sleepy. It's going to be 9 a.m. in their biological clocks. They're going to be up at altitude. That defense isn't as bad as you're giving it credit for. I took Stanford team total over 18.5. They couldn't even get over 10. And that's a Stanford team that was actually scoring some points going into that game. Colorado, notoriously slow starter. I don't know. Everybody wants to hype up this offense, but if you go look at their first half totals at each and every single week this year, they haven't topped 17 points in a single half in the first half, like in any of these games. So USC's probably going to be winning 21-10, 28-10 at the end of the first half. I don't know. For an 11 a.m. kickoff, that many points. That Oregon-Colorado game didn't hit the over. And I don't know necessarily how much better Oregon's defense is than USC's. I don't think they're more talented. I think the recruits are all
than USC's.
Let's see. Gave up 28 to Arizona State, 10 to Stanford, 14 to Nevada, 28 to San Jose State. I mean, I don't see screaming red flag in there. It's not. This defense doesn't seem the same as last year's. It's a little bit better.
But are any of those teams like Colorado, the weapons that Colorado has, though? That's my point, is they may have given up like that many points to those teams. Those teams aren't nearly as good as Colorado. None of them have like a Shedeur Sanders on offense.
Dude, I think Colorado ran themselves into the ground the first 3 weeks. What did they look like last week? I don't think
Against
that
a good defense. USC is not a good defense.
There was no Hunter either.
Oh, is there Hunter back this week?
He texted Dion, said, "Play me, coach." So we'll see.
Okay, we'll see. No, I think that's just too many points for an 11 a.m. kickoff.
Well, I'll lose 4 units, but I'm willing to put 4 units on it.
It's a fun play. Don't get me wrong. I want to bet, like I want the over to hit. I want to play the over and want it to hit. I don't know. I don't think it is.
I mean, I think both things can be true in the sense that USC's defense might not be that good, but there is the potential that you finish at like 70 or something and it goes under. But I'm with Kyle in the sense that that's such a fun play that I would have to go the over if I'm going to play anything on that game. But I am staying away from that one. So I don't have a dog in the fight. But if I was just looking for like a good noon like vibes play, that could get your day started off really well. If that hits, that would be such a fun one to hit. But we'll see.
And I could be dead wrong, and it could fly over. I'm just saying this based off of Colorado being a slow starting team.
Yeah.
And I don't, I think that first half is going to be slow enough to where that 73.5 could be hard to hit. That's where my
from a number perspective, I get it. Yeah.
And Corey, you've been on the show. You're the only panelist that's been on the show all 3 seasons. But we established in season 1 that it's a principle thing if we see an over-under in the 70s.
Yes, I have come off that train. There is no more soup on this show, so I do not have to play this game anymore.
So I don't have to do this.
That's fine, but I'm my loyalty to that pact in season 1, and that wasn't the reason I made that play. I really do think this over is going to hit, but I see your point in it, Corey, and I was hesitant to do it, but I really do think that's gonna hit this weekend. So,
and this is also me officially saying I'm a changed man from season 1. All right, I am an unders guy now. I am a full-blown unders guy.
Hate to see it. All right. We'll move on now to action. Your second round play worth 4 units.
Just for the record, you did take my pick. I was going to be playing that over. So I've had 2 picks robbed from me so far. This is going to be my worst draft of all time. I'm mad and I'm miserable. And don't forget, anytime Lincoln Riley is favored by more than 20 points, I automatically bet the over. So there we go. I'm going to go a first half under here. It's at 25.5. And it is at a -112. I'm going to take Iowa State and Oklahoma in the game. Oklahoma's D, Kyle, you got to know that. I mean, they're good, right? 8.5 points per game. Iowa State, not too bad themselves. Their first 3 games, the total score for Iowa State in their first 3 games was an average of 29 points, including that 10-7 thriller against Ohio. And then my fun fact here, the last 4 years prior to the Texas game, Oklahoma has failed to cover, and they've lost 2 of those 3 years. I think this sets up to be a very dicey game early for the Sooners, so I'll play the under 25.5.
I like that play a lot. I really do. Because Oklahoma, much like Colorado, is a slow starting team for the most part. Besides when they played Arkansas State and Tulsa.
The Cupcakes. Yep.
Correct. Yep. Nope. I like that play a lot. Off topic, when I did that hammer thing with my arms, my shoulder is killing me now. I shouldn't do that.
Oh,
again.
no. We got to dislocate.
Wait till you get older.
Yeah, right. Guy tore his rotator cuff doing the hammer.
Yep. No, I like that play a lot, actually. I hope that works out for you. But Corey will transition to you now. Your second round play worth 4 units.
All right. So I kind of got to use some strategy here. I'm going to follow Kyle's lead on this. I don't think this play is going to come back around to me. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Wait, what was Beast's first pick? What was your first pick again, Beast?
My first pick was Oregon State -3.
Okay, we're good then. I'm going to take rinse, lather, repeat. Nebraska first half under 20.5. We're using the same strategy as last week for all the same reasons I already said.
Under 20
I
and
think
a half.
Yep. I think that this one's dangerous. I really wish I could get it at 21 and a half. I really do. But out of principle and out of how these teams both start the first half, what was it? 14, was it 21 points against Rutgers, and the Rutgers had a lucky touchdown. I don't think Nebraska's getting a lucky touchdown. I think there's maybe 14 points in the first half total. I think this is going to be a really low scoring first half.
I was at a minus 110, correct?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's been money for you so far. So I hope that continues for you.
It's 4-0 so far in the year, so let's keep rolling.
And you've bet it every time you've been on the show, I believe.
Yeah, I have. I'm really hoping that this doesn't kill me this week.
Okay. Very good. Beast, we'll go to you now. You got back-to-back picks. We'll start with your second round play worth 4 units.
All right, second round play. Speaking of high totals, we got to do it. I'm going to take Washington at Arizona under 67.5.
Okay.
I hate it. Just like we said, we love to take these high numbers. At 67.5, when you're looking at, you got some really, really good quarterbacks there between Jaden DeLora and then obviously our guy, Michael Penix. You hate to bet against Michael Penix. You really do. But this is such a high number in my opinion. And something about this game being at Arizona, Washington might not necessarily struggle full game, but they might have some struggles first half. I could see this game finishing at like 42-21 and pissing everybody off that took that over. But like you're taking an over that's 67.5 points. So if it does finish at 63, 61, 65, like it was still a high scoring game. You just bid on a really high number. And I think that's probably what's going to happen here. So if there's anybody in our mentions, complaining about that one, I tried to tell you guys it's just a little bit too high. You give me 61.5, 62.5, that's a little bit more accurate. You could probably get away with getting that over, but 67.5, too much. It's too much to me. And then I'll go to my next play. This one, I'll just keep it short and simple. We're going to go Kentucky money line. I got minus 139 on Better Edge. Taking them at home versus Florida. I know a lot of people are high on Florida, but this game is at home. I like my guy Devin Leary. Underrated Wildcats team. I'll be honest. Florida is good, but they got to travel, and there's just something that's kind of stirring. I think Kentucky can pull it off here. I'm going to take them at home.
Beast, aren't you the guy who hit Florida against Tennessee?
As
your underdog?
So I'm going against them, but I got to do what I got to do. I don't have any, like the Gator chops that I don't have anything for the Wildcats. It's like, that's it. Yeah.
I was just about to ask that myself. And then Arizona low key has like a decent defense. Like the most points they've given up this year is 33 points. They lost a heartbreaker last week by 1. And yeah, I didn't know how I felt about that play, but the more you explain it, the more I listen. That actually does make a lot of sense. But you're right. Most people are going to see Michael Penix, Jaden DeLora over. And it might not be that.
Yeah, I could just see a weird situation. Like I said, I would not be shocked if we hit like a 64, 65 number and it falls under. And just frustrates like the entire betting, world, because that's exactly what happens in these games like this.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, very good. Corey, we'll go to you with your third round pick. We're 3 units.
Okay, so now this is where I have to start making my own picks. I can't just follow the system anymore. There is a number that jumped out as I was just scrolling through the slate, right? Just looking through it, looking at the spreads, over unders, money lines, just scrolling, and one just jumped out to me. I saw it and I was like, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense, but I guess. Too many points. Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Ooh, okay.
Plus 16.5 as a spread play. I just think that's too many points, and they love to play Texas tough. I'm not saying that they're going to beat Texas action. I'm not saying that they're going to win that one. It's not my money line play. I'm just saying that 16.5 is a lot, and Kansas really loves to take it to Texas, even when they're god awful, and they're not god awful.
The one thing I really like about that play is I believe either next week or in a couple weeks is the Red River game, and I feel like this game might be a look ahead game.
I think it's next week, isn't it?
It is next week. Corey took another one of my picks. I actually, for back in Texas and everything, Kansas has the type of offense that can backdoor you at this type of number. And I have that same exact feeling. That's kind of was my angle on the Iowa State Oklahoma handicap too. Both don't have the greatest ATS record leading up to the big game.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about making fun plays. Kansas plus 16.5 with Jaden Daniels. That's just fun.
Absolutely. Okay. Nope.
Yeah.
I like that play and can't really challenge it, but action, that's a third pick that got taken from you.
I mean, this is just being a terrible day. I'm just going to take this one before this one goes too. This was like my fifth best, but I'm going to go the Pitt Panthers team total over 20.5 points at a minus 120. That's against Virginia Tech. I think the Panthers are going to win the game. That's first and foremost. Virginia Tech this year, they've given up 24 to Marshall, 35 to Rutgers, 24 to Purdue. I'm not saying Pittsburgh's going to light up the scoreboard here, but I think they're going to win the football game. They're going to get over the 20.5, and I'll cover it.
Valid.
Yeah, it's a solid play, but okay. That sounds good. Good pick action. So we'll go to me now with my back-to-back. I'm going to go with a spread, and I'm going to take another spread that didn't make much sense to me when I saw the opponent. I'm going to take Air Force minus 10.5 against San Diego State. San Diego State, oftentimes they're viewed as one of the best defenses in the country. Teams can't score on them. This season, that's just not the case. They're still solid. They're allowing 27 points per game, which is 70th in college football, but that is bad for San Diego State standards, as well as the fact that they're only scoring 17 points per game. They're one of the worst offenses in the country. On the flip hand, though, Air Force, they're unbelievable in offense so far. They're scoring 32.3 points per game. They're only giving up 14.7, which is 15th in college football. People didn't know how they'd be. They lost to Zeke Daniels last year, who was the main guy at QB to make him go. Zach Larrier is still a very solid QB for them, very good at rushing and passing. I think they have no problem covering the 10.5. I think they win by 2 touchdowns pretty easily. So I'm taking Air Force minus 10.5 for 3 units.
I like that a lot. Got to support our troops, right?
Absolutely. Okay. So funny you say that, Beast. I'm going to go from supporting our troops to rooting against the troops. And I'm taking South Florida money line at a plus 141 against Navy. Yep. I mean, this is a South Florida team that hung in there against Western Kentucky. They only lost by 2 scores to Alabama, and they put up 38 points against Florida A&M and 42 points against Rice. And you mean to tell me they're underdogs against Navy? Come on now. South Florida money line plus 141.
I respect it. I respect taking the money line play as an underdog. It's always a move, and when it hits, that's going to be a good feeling. I got a good feeling that one could win for you.
Thanks, sir.
So that was against Navy. I mean, it's
yeah,
Navy. They're so bad.
That's kind of it. It's for sure a fade.
Navy's only win this year is against FCS Wagner. That's their only win.
They've been bad for years now. Like, they're just bad. Really bad.
Okay.
That's why they made a coaching change, right?
Yep. Action, we will go to you with your 4th round pick.
Before somebody steals this one, I'm going to go the Fighting Illini of Illinois plus the 1 at Purdue. I love this revenge spot. Purdue last year upset Illinois as a 14-point underdog. That kept Brent Bielema and the Fighting Illini out of the Big Ten championship game. Maybe saved them an embarrassment, but nonetheless, revenge spot. And I don't know if Illinois is as bad as we're making them out to be. I know the fan boards are just going crazy on how terrible this team is, but Toledo, once again, I think would beat several Big Ten teams. Yes, they barely beat Florida Atlantic, but Tom Herman's the head coach there. That's a team that's better than the bottom of the Big Ten. I know that much. And their losses were to Penn State by 17 and Kansas, who Corey's just backing at Texas right now, that we know can score. So I don't know if Illinois is as bad and as down as people are making out. Meanwhile, Purdue in the preseason, I said they would lose the first 7 games in conference. I'm sticking to that. So give me the Fighting Illini plus the 1.
Yeah, that was on my list. Obviously, I took the main one, but that one was on there as well. And man, Purdue stinks too. So I like that a lot. I thought they'd be decent this year with Hudson Card, but they just aren't. So
let them be terrible for at least one more week for me.
Absolutely. All right, Corey, we'll go to you. You need a money line and a full game over under.
All right, so these next 2 are just kind of fun that I have. I don't know, maybe I'll lose the other one, but I doubt it. I'm gonna take Utah, Oregon State over 44.5. This is just something I've been noticing. These Friday night games, points happen. They just happen. And it's a late game, Pac-12. I mean, I'm hoping Cam Rising comes back. I know that both of these teams, the strengths are their defense, but it's that Pac-12 night game vibe. I just think 44.5 is a really low number, and it's a Friday night game, and I'm kind of just riding that trend that I've been noticing.
Friday night game in Corvallis, give me that over.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. I got burned by an Army under on a Friday night game. I'm never betting an under on Friday nights ever again.
All right. Fair enough. Beast, you need a team total and first half total. So we'll go through your 4th round play worth 2 units.
All right. I got to do it. I'm going to take Ole Miss team total over 32.5 points at home versus LSU. I think LSU's scaring everybody from a spread perspective, but you don't have to worry about the spread here. You're just going to take an Ole Miss team that's at home. A lot of what LSU's flaws from what I've seen in both the FSU and Arkansas game is their defense does have some holes at times, and teams have scored on them. So if you're a believer in Ole Miss, like I am, I like my guy Jackson Dart. I think he's good enough to expose a couple of those holes at home. So 32.5 points. They don't even have to necessarily stay in this game. They could lose the spread, they could lose the game, and we could still find 33 points. So that makes me feel good about that. So if you're somebody out there that's like, man, Ole Miss, LSU, this is going to be a really fun game, I'm definitely going to be watching it, but you just don't feel comfortable taking Ole Miss spread, hit the team total. I think it's a good look. So
okay. What was the line on that, by the way?
Oh, that one I had minus 120, I believe, is what I had for it. Yep. Last play I have is just gotta get my first half play out there. And it's interesting. I would have called a challenge, but I wasn't really challenging a play. You guys were just kind of talking down on Oklahoma in the first half. I gotta kind of counter argue here because I was waiting to give it. They've actually been pretty good in the first half this year. They're top 5 in the country in scoring, 26.8 points per game. I know that they've had a couple cupcakes in there. You include that first game when they put up like a 73 spot, that definitely helps. But with that said, Iowa State, number 114 in the country, they averaged 7.7 points per game in the first half. So if you think that Oklahoma can score, let's just say 20 points, which I for sure think they could. If they hold Iowa State to Iowa State's average at 7, you're still going to hit Oklahoma first half minus 10.5 is the look on that. I mean, Iowa State's highlight of their season right now is beating a pretty bad Oklahoma State team. So, I mean, being honest, they're going to face the real team in Oklahoma this week. And I think their eyes are going to get a little bit awoken. I think Oklahoma boat races them, and I think they start early. I think they lay it on them. I mean, this is an Iowa State team that lost to Ohio. I don't understand how we're giving them too much credit here. Like, they stink. So Oklahoma first half -10.5. That's what I got here.
Okay. So I thought for a second we were going to have like a lock off for a second. We haven't had a lock. It's not a lock technically, but we haven't had like two plays in the panel be against each other yet. So I thought that was going to happen for a second there. Okay, Beast, sounds good. That'll round out your team. And I want to put 5 units on the play I think Corey's going to make here. But Corey, you have a money line left you got to make.
I don't think we're on the same one. I have one that I don't know. I've been doing this thing where I try to take plus money lines with my 1 unit play, but this one I found it's not a huge payout for a money line, but you got a home dog that kicks off. I want to say, what time is that kickoff? We're kicking off at 9:15 Central Time for a team that plays in the Eastern Time Zone out at BYU. And BYU just lost to Kansas, but look competitive. Give me BYU money line at +102. It might even be better on Better Edge. I don't know what it is on Better Edge, but late kickoff. I mean, teams go out west to die late at night. And Cincinnati does not look like the Cincinnati teams with Luke Fickell. And BYU looks good. I don't understand why it's even +1.5. I just don't get it. That was the other option I was going to use as a spread too. But Kansas is just way more fun.
Absolutely.
I like the play a lot, Corey. I unfortunately bet BYU this morning at -1. So, I
think they win that game. I don't understand.
You've always been a big BYU guy yourself, so.
Oh yeah. I love the Cougars.
So I was disappointed you got the trivia question wrong today.
What do you mean by that?
I threw it out there. I said it's either this guy or a BYU quarterback.
Just happened to be the BYU. That's 2 times though, in back-to-back weeks you shot yourself in the foot with the trivia question.
Okay, full disclosure, I couldn't remember his name. I was thinking I knew it wasn't Steve Young and I knew it wasn't Jim McMahon, but I thought it was the other one. It was what I was going with in my head and I couldn't remember his name. So I just went with Chuck.
Fair.
Full disclosure. But yeah, I really like BYU in this game. I think they're a really physical team and they didn't look bad against Kansas. And I think Kansas is way better than Cincinnati.
Thomas's Heisman pick from last year.
Yeah.
Heisman finalist from last year at QB for BYU.
Yep, I'm riding it.
Okay. Sounds good. Action, you need a full game total here.
I do, huh?
Yep, I do believe so, looking at your team.
Yeah, I do. You guys have taken all my totals all the show that I am scraping the bottom of the barrel to find the one that I had as my 5th selection. Let's go Virginia Boston College over 55.
Ooh, okay.
Like it.
We're pulling a rabbit out of the hat here, but I actually thought Virginia's offense was going to be bad, but what I saw Boston College's quarterback do to Florida State, he has some upside, and I think Virginia's quarterback actually has some upside, and I don't know if either team has that good a defense. So, yeah, we'll go over 55.
And it's just a 1 unit play too, so.
Yeah, you guys took everything else, so.
Yeah, that's tough.
Not bitter, but I don't like this draft.
Hey, sometimes it's those weeks that you do your best,
True. We can't go. What did Action go 2 weeks ago where he was like 5-0 plus 1 million units?
Right.
We had South
can't always
Alabama for everything.
Yeah, South Alabama only gets to play Oklahoma State once a year. So that was
Right.
a once-a-year opportunity.
Not every week do you just know the game and can bet it every which way possible.
I should have put like my mortgage on that or something there, right? put all of the money that you've ever saved up on South Alabama, everything, and you'd probably be rich right now.
Yeah. Or if I would have done that, they would have laid an egg and got beat 40-0.
It's true. It's true. It's how it goes.
Almost like the books know whenever you have like everything on the line.
They make a call. Hey, so we got this guy in North Dakota. Like he's got a lot of money.
Just like Josh McDaniels in the NFL got the call. We need a field goal, not a touchdown here.
Like Corey said, if that happened, he'd see Action's picture on the milk cartons at the schools.
Yeah, if I would have lost that game, I would have been a whole lot of hurt.
Yep.
All right, so I got Mr. Irrelevant here. I need a first half total. And actually, the one I had written down as my primary one was going to be Colorado USC first half over. But because I took the full game over, I'm going to not do that. And I'm going to take Notre Dame Duke first half under 26.5. I can get that at -122. This is going to be a fun game. I'm excited for this game. You got Riley Leonard versus Sam Hartman. But I think it's going to start slow. I think they're pretty evenly matched. Notre Dame just had an absolute battle with Ohio State, and Duke really hasn't had that big of competition since they played Clemson. So I think these two teams are just going to go at it in the first half. I don't think a lot of points are going to be scored right away. So I like that first half under 26.5.
I think that's a good look. That's higher than I would have expected for that game.
Much higher than I thought it was going to be. But okay. Sounds good. So let's go through our teams really quick and then do honorable mentions. Beast, Oregon State -3, Washington, Arizona under 67.5, Kentucky moneyline, a -135, Ole Miss team total over 32.5 at a -120, and Oklahoma first half -10.5. I didn't get the line on that though. Do you remember what it was?
Let me pull it up real quick, but I believe it was -110.
Okay. I can take your word for it. We can come back
Yep,
to it.
It was 110.
Okay, perfect. Overall thoughts, you like your team? Any picks get taken from you at all, or?
Not necessarily. But there were a couple plays when I heard you guys start talking about them that I was like, man, I would have loved to have used that. Like, for example, you took Oregon's team total over. I was super, super close to using that as my team total. I think that's a good look. I think you're right. Oregon's offense is just so stacked. So there's part of me that's like, am I going to regret, not making that play a priority? But I'll probably end up tailing you on it anyways. So maybe we can win a little bit of money together.
Love it. Sounds good. Corey, Michigan team total under 28.5 at a -110. Nebraska, Michigan first half under 20.5 at a -110. Kansas plus 16.5. Oregon State over 44.5, and BYU money line at a +102. Overall thoughts?
Doing something right. Vegas just dropped the first half under to -120. So I don't know. It's the system. I'm pegging it on the system. It's the black shirts. I don't know. I feel good about this. As long as I hit those first two rounds, then we're good to go.
Beast, how much did you just bet? I saw you click after Corey talked about that play. Did you move the number?
Yeah, it was me.
Okay.
I
Okay.
got some extra money that, been saving up for this play all year.
I thought you were going to say that you came into or fell onto or something.
Yeah.
No, I like my side. I like the team. A couple of them are really fun plays. A couple of them are part of the system. Just another week.
Okay. Sounds good. Action, you got Clemson money line at a -250. Iowa State, Oklahoma first half under 25.5 at a -112. Pittsburgh team total over 20.5 at a -120. Illinois +1. Virginia, Boston College over 50.5. Overall thoughts on your team?
I made eliminated from lemons. That's best I could do given my draft position. That's all I'll say. I was robbed. This wheel thing is rigged, and I never get my pick.
You've had number one before, though.
just frustrating.
Actually, Kyle just redoing the wheel, like a video of the wheel from.
Yeah, it's not live. It's just a repeat.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think the card will be okay. I never know what's going to happen. I actually like a lot of tight spreads this week, and that historically is a little scary.
True. Sometimes that's how it goes too. Like I had the number 1 overall pick. If that loses, I'm going to be like, man, I clearly had no assessment here on like what was good, what was bad.
They just dropped Michigan's team total to 27.5, and I haven't put it in yet.
Yeah, that's tough.
Now you know what it feels like.
Yeah.
Actions like if I have to feel pain, you have to feel pain.
Makes you feel better. I got mine in this morning.
All right. My team, I took Oregon team total over 44.5 at a -110. USC Colorado over 73.5. Air Force -10.5. South Florida money line at a +141. And Notre Dame Duke first half under 26.5 at a -122. I shouldn't have gone with a disclaimer saying that USC Colorado is for sure 1-1 because I do like that Oregon team total a little more. I really do think that over is going to smash. I didn't say that just for funsies and because the vibes are good. I really sincerely think there's going to be a lot of points scored in that game. But otherwise, I really like my team, and I'm looking forward to another good snake draft with you fellas. But any honorable mentions? I actually don't have any this week. All my plays I was going to take pretty much did get taken. Corey, did you have any honorable mentions at all?
So I actually think that USC Colorado first half under is a sneaky play. You can hit the first half under and still hit the full game over because of the slow starts by Colorado and how sleepy USC might be. I think that could be a sneaky play in there. But the Big Ten unders, it just doesn't feel right this week. Like Illinois Purdue screams over, even though the number's at 53.5. That just feels like an over game. Obviously Michigan State Iowa unders every which way. Indiana Maryland feels like an over game, and that's at 50. So it's kind of hard. The over unders that I've been liking to play, the Big Ten's a little bit tricky this week, I think. A sneaky one that I do like though is first half under Penn State Northwestern 24.5.
Ooh, okay.
I don't mind that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I actually looked at that game and I was just looking at it right now. Without looking, what do you think the team points for Northwestern is for the game?
6.5.
It's 8.5 actually. So yeah, it's a good underplay.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson with Iowa last week. I will not bet a bad team to the over.
Northwestern, I don't think is going to score as many points they did in Minnesota the rest of the season.
It's probably fair. Yeah.
But,
Another play that if somebody's looking, we've talked so much about, high totals in this one. If you were to take Ole Miss LSU over 67 or 67.5, whatever you get it at, it's another one of those high totals. Obviously, I told you guys how much I like Ole Miss's team total. But if you just take that full game total, that's another one that has real shootout potential, in my opinion, if these offenses move like we've seen them move at times. So that was probably the only other one that I thought about slotting in. But I liked that Washington Arizona under a little bit more, so kind of had to flip them out. But I don't mind that.
Mm-hmm. Action, any other? I know you got a lot of plays taken from it, but were there any plays left on your big board at all?
No, I think you guys covered them.
Okay. I actually did have one more. If I didn't get the USC Colorado over like I thought I was going to, the other over under I had was South Carolina Tennessee under 62. Those defenses for both are actually really, really solid. Tennessee's 1-2-1 at hitting the over this year, while South Carolina's 2-2. And people are going to talk about, Joe Milton versus Spencer Rattler. I mean, both their defenses are still very solid. So I think that over's quite high. So if I didn't get USC Colorado, that's the total I was going to take, was South Carolina Tennessee under 62. But
I like it.
All right, gentlemen, sounds good. Well, let's move on to upsets of the week and locks of the week to round out the show. Upset of the week, again, how it works is all the cappers have to find an underdog of at least 7 points, and they must get a win straight up to get you a win. Current standings right now, Action is in first with 2 upsets of the week picked. Myself, Thomas, and Beast all have 1, and Corey and PG are tied at the back with 0. But again, long season. We're only on week 5. So let's go on to our upsets of the week. And Corey, we will start with you.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Ooh, wow.
It's a letdown opportunity. And Kansas, I think, is better than 16.5, not just better than 16. Texas is flying high right now. And if there was a time where you could sneak in a loss that just kind of fit, this week feels like that week. That's it. I'm just going based off of Red River next week, them beating Bama, like them taking care of. Yeah, it just screams that type of opportunity. And I think Kansas is the quality side that could do that.
I like it.
Okay. Sounds
I
good.
don't like it.
Oh.
Sorry. That's why I didn't put it in the snake draft. I did it out of respect.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I am also 0 in this part of the contest, so
that could mean good news for you, Action. Thomas couldn't be here today. Obviously, he's under the weather, but he did send me an upset in a lock. He is taking Houston plus 10 at Texas Tech as his upset of the week, and that is what he is going to go with. I am going to go with Coastal Carolina over Georgia Southern. That's a plus 7 right now. At first, I didn't like the line very much, but it makes sense because Georgia Southern, they're a front runner right now in the Sun Belt. They have a lot of momentum going on. And most people are thinking, Coastal Carolina, they're not doing well without Jamie Caldwell. But one of their losses was to UCLA. They're still a very solid team. Grayson McCall has been decent so far this year. He's due to have a big game. This Georgia Southern pass defense is allowing 263 yards of passing per game. I think McCall's going to have a really, really big game here. And I think they get a much needed win to turn their season around here. So I like Coastal Carolina over Georgia Southern as my upset of the week. And Beast, we will go to you now with your upset of the week.
All right. I got to sell it. Our favorite city in the state of Michigan to say out loud. We're going to Ypsilanti to get Eastern Michigan plus 7.5. At Central Michigan. So some people might be a little afraid of them going to Central Michigan, but many people forget they swept Western Michigan and Central Michigan last year. So much talk, happens for Western and Central as far as MAC teams, but people like to forget about Eastern Michigan. Samson Evans rushed for over 1,000 yards last year. They got another running back in there, Jalen Jackson, who's pretty good. This game matters. This is an in-state rivalry, and although Central's big rival is Western Michigan, Eastern Michigan's kind of like the odd, like ugly duckling out. They really do care about this game. They want to assert their dominance, and there's like a trophy out of those 3 schools that I don't know what the name of it is. I should know, but they have it because they swept the series last year between the 3 teams. So I think they could come out and win this game. I don't care if it's in Mount Pleasant. They care about this game. And there's a little bit of disrespect being put on their name at plus 7.5. I think they come out and they're going to be fighting.
Okay. Home pick for Beast. I love it. You got to have the passion, though, Beast. I love that.
There you go.
Action, we will go to you to wrap it up. What is your upset of the week?
This line was at 7. It's now at 6, but I still get to play it based on last week's rules. I'm going to take Southern Miss at home against Texas State. Southern Miss, they had best player in the field, right? And Frank Gore Jr., if he can run effectively like he did last week again. Southern Miss has struggled, but this is a better football team than they've shown. Texas State pulled the big upset over Baylor to start the year. A little inflated in the numbers. That's why I think this actual line is starting to come down. We're starting to evaluate the game more on what these 2 teams are right now. So I think this is a good spot for Southern Miss to steal a game at home and upset Texas State. So I'll play that one on the money line plus the 200.
That line must have just moved because when I was looking at the lines, I thought I saw that Southern Miss was 7. So that must have just moved.
Yeah. It was 7 all day when I was doing it and I already put it in. So the other one for honorable mention is Old Dominion, plus a really big number at Marshall. A little bit of a trap spot there for Marshall, coming off of a big win with a big game coming up again. And Old Dominion tends to play them a little tough.
Okay, that's interesting. And just for you viewers at home, just like to preface it, what we do is whenever we prep, whatever the line is, like that's what we're getting. The reason that happened was, I think, really early on in the year, I had Utah -6.5 early, like when I prepped it. It ended up moving to 7.5 by the time the game started. Utah won by 7, so I had to ask them, what do you guys prefer? And everyone said, well, if you had it beforehand, that's the line you get it at. So that's just what we go by, is whenever we prep for the show, whatever the line is, that's the line we get. That's just kind of what we do here. But anyways, we'll move on now to round the show with locks of the week. Lock of the week, very, very simple. If the lock hits, you get a point. If it doesn't, you don't. About as simple as it gets. It can be spread, total, money line, team total, first half total, literally anything. But current standings right now, Action and Corey tied to the top with a 4-0 record. I am in third with a 3-1 record. Beast is in fourth with a 1-1. Thomas is in fifth with a 1-3. Not quite rating PG yet. We'll let him get a little more games under his belt, but PG is 1-0 so far in locks of the week. So we will move on now to our lock of the week contest. I'll start with Thomas's lock of the week. He's taking Pittsburgh, Virginia Tech over 39.5 as his lock of the week. So we will see how that goes. But Beast, we'll start off with you. What do you got for your lock of the week?
You know what? I'm so fired up about Eastern Michigan's money line as my underdog. I'm gonna have to take the points plus 7.5. You gotta like these guys, man. Like I said, there's something to be said about a little chip on your shoulder. I think these guys come out, man. That's a ton of points. If I didn't think that they could, win that game, I wouldn't be taking plus 7.5. But I think you get the double dip here. Take my underdog, take the points. We could double dip this together, guys.
All right. Sounds good. Well, best of luck to you, and hope that hits for you. As far as mine, before we get to the undefeated ones, I went in the weeds for this one. I didn't like some of the marquee games, so I went really, really in the weeds for this one. And I love this. I loved it so much I didn't want to play it in the contest. I didn't want to lose units and feel even worse. But I love it. I love this so much. I might play it for a decent amount of units in our Kota Capper contest. And that is Sam Houston State, Jacksonville State, under 36.5. Now, I'll explain to you why. You guys want to hear about an offense that's worse than Iowa's this year? Sam Houston State. Listen to this. They are averaging, and I kid you not, 3.5 points per game. They, so far in 3 games this year, have put up 0, 3, and 7 points. Their defense is solid, though. They've only given up 21.7 points per game. Jacksonville State, they're not much better offensively. They're allowing 18 points per game, still not that good. Their defense is top 15 in the country, though. They're only allowing 14.7 points per game. This game could be 10-3. There's no way. In fact, I'm going to even do this. I guarantee this under hits. Sam Houston State, Jacksonville State, under 36.5.
I like it. You know what? Kyle's pretty much just dropping it on the table. He's letting the people know, man. And I got to respect that move out of our guy here.
Absolutely. Action will go to
That's
you.
aggressive using the G word. You guys talk about the B word with Texas. The G word's an even bigger word.
It is a big word, but I love it. I love this play so much.
What pains me actually is I've watched Sam Houston and State in person many times because they used to be a powerhouse at the FCS level with North Dakota State. So to see that offense go from the level I watched it at for so many years to where it's at right now, it's just tough for me to think of Sam Houston State on an under like that. But that's where they're at. You made a good argument. So it's me, right?
Yep. What do you got for your lock?
Boy, I really want to go team total Michigan under 28.5. I really, really, really want to do that. I feel like Corey might do it. So I'm actually going to take, I know I played Illinois already I'm going Fighting Illini plus the one at Purdue. That's my play.
Okay.
That's my lock.
I like it.
All right. Yeah, I like that too. Sounds good. Okay, Corey, what do you got for your lock of the week?
Per rules of the show, it's at 28.5. Michigan team total under 28.5.
I saved it for you, Corey.
Hey, I mean, we could have both played it. It'll have been okay.
And we can both cash out. Actually, wait, I get to cash at 28.5. You're going to probably have to play 27.5.
Yeah,
you don't do it soon, it might be 26.
I know, dude. They are actually. That's exactly what's happening right now. The longer I watch it, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow really, really mad. I can already tell. And it doesn't matter if it drops to 27. Even I'm still playing it. And I think it hits. I think they score 24 at most.
Or, and hear me out, you bet it now.
I'm not gonna. I don't want to leave.
Oh, that's right. You're in Nebraska. That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
We got to get this guy a remote server.
Yeah. But yeah, team total under 28.5. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That front seven's for real. I think Michigan does win. I don't necessarily think they cover the 17.5. Maybe they do pull it out at the end of the game. But I think after this game, one of the big talking points is going to be people fully respecting that front seven.
It could go two ways. It could go exactly as planned. And like you said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But there's a real chance that Michigan does what we kind of see out of like top 3 teams in the country. And that scares me. So Godspeed, my friend. I just hope that it goes. I hope it goes that way. Because I'd love to see Nebraska keep up with Michigan because I hate Michigan. But
they haven't looked like that yet this year, though.
True. Nebraska has this weird tendency of doing Nebraska things, and Michigan has this weird tendency of, we'll see. I'm going to stay away from that game. I really do hope you get a close game because if Nebraska can play them close, I think that tells me that maybe this isn't Michigan's, conference to lose, which is what everybody's been saying for like the last 2 weeks here. Everybody's like, well, Ohio State's had struggles and, Penn State has their flaws. And all I've had to hear at least on local Michigan radio is this is Michigan's conference to lose. There's no excuse for this if they lose it. So I hope they do lose it. I hope Nebraska wins for all.
I think their play so far this year is kind of been sleepwalking through some of these games. Honestly, I do think that they're hearing that, and that I think that rat poison is going to catch up to them. I don't know if it's this week. I hope it's this week.
Minnesota next week. They got a big one.
I would love
juggernaut back to back.
Yeah, there you go. If Nebraska was to win this week, I'm pretty sure Corey would, I don't know, he'd streak live on the stream or something. I don't know. Like it would be insane. I can't even name like he'd do anything.
I'm showing up next week with the fight song blasting when we hit record. I mean, I'm just going nuts.
Anything but the streaking piece. Anything but that. Okay.
Okay,
let's get that out of the.
I'm not doing.
Get that out of the equation.
We've been close to being taken down multiple times on this show, and we haven't yet.
Oh,
that might do it.
You don't want to see this Nebraska team upset that Michigan team and then get me to record something afterwards. My hatred for Michigan knows no bounds. Oh man, would I love it.
Yeah. There we go. Go Huskers.
There you have it. We'll end on that note. That'll do it for episode 6 of the Kota Copper Collegeville Central Show. Tune in next week as we recap games in week 6 and do our snake draft for week 7. See you, fellas.